Hi viewers, welcome back. You're still watching The Press, reaching you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. And now Gabonese army officers under the aegis of the Committee for the Transition and Restoration of Institutions on Wednesday morning today announced on national television that they are taking over power from President Ali Bongo in the country. The soldiers highlighted serious institutional, political, economic and social crisis as factors responsible for the coup that they tagged necessary for the progress of the West African country. Now we've been joined by our guest and in-house analyst, Olamide Dokita Ogunleke, to analyze some of the stories in the newspapers, starting from what happened this morning in Gabon. Dokita, you're welcome to the studio.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
You're welcome.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and you?
Great. I'm sure you heard the breaking story.
Yeah.
In fact, Sandra literally broke it on air this morning, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what viewers will be thinking at home right now, because this is like I think the 8th coup in the last 3 years in West Africa. So what do you make of this?
I've said it, when that of Niger happened, and people were like, ECOWAS should refrain itself from using military actions, and I was like, fine, it is good, but the fact is, if within 2 weeks, that was what I said then, that if within 2 weeks the Niger coup d'etat leaders refused to give power to the president, I said the best thing ever is the military action. It will not affect Nigerians. But a lot of people came out, even the northern people and some of our countries, no, they should be diplomatic. I told my host then that this diplomatic that you are talking about will actually result into another coup in another country. And here we are having Gabon. We'll still have another one the next month if care is not taken. And this coup in Gabon, you see, it is actually not good taking autocratic into power.
Of course.
Autocrats into power. But the fact is, how on earth would a family be ruling for over 50 years? Not even extended family.
It looks like a monarch system.
Just like that. And people were not satisfied with the result of the election.
Of the rule and the election.
The election. They were not satisfied with the way they were being ruled, because now it's another government on the throne. But the fact is, military is not the result, as in the next step when it comes to ruling in this part of the world and in this dispensation that we have. So all I believe is, peradventure, the leaders of this coup will actually hear what we are saying and hearken to our voice. The best thing is, within a week, they should plan another election. That's just the best. I am not saying the coup is right.
Okay.
It's not. But they should not seize power for long. If they do, there'll still be issue, because no military coup has ever been in the interest of the masses in this part of the world. Let's check that of Nigeria. Nigeria had experienced almost 5 military coups, and even Niger. Talk about Burkina Faso. Let's talk about Libya. Let's talk about those countries that have experienced this. Now, what has been the result of the military rule? Nothing. What we were complaining while we were in democracy is still same thing happening in their era. And worst, because when you look at the way they bring things on table, they command and that's all. You have no plight. You have no right.
They've taken off internet access.
In Niger.
Don't even know what's happening. Borders have been closed.
Just imagine. You see all those ones. Look at Gabon now. Look at Burkina Faso. So what has been the benefit of this? The only thing that people don't know is there are lands, let me use their word, that are controlling our military in West Africa. And taking power is not their mindset or their determination or their focus, or they were being lured to it by some particular some countries. And these countries are the countries that have been ruling us for the past years. So all I know is we really need change in Africa. And Professor Lumumba said something. He said, the problem we are having is the fact that Africa is having over 58 currencies. Africa is having a lot of central banks. Africa is having leaders that are greedy. So all these things cannot be solved by military. Let's forget about whether Nigerians were happy, though it's because they were innocent of what is actually coming to them, what they are in for. If they know what they are in for, they wouldn't have ever be happy. The only thing I know is you can actually remove any democratic government from power through your vote, and if you monitor it. But the facts still remain that this same set of people that are complaining that their leaders are bad, their leaders are this, are still the same set of people that vote them in. For example, if we have margin, like that's of Nigeria now, that people are, a lot of people have been crying and still crying now. If the margin had been a kind of 2 million to 900,000, we will rig it. You can only rig election that has close proximity.
Of course.
But when you see what people have done, how are we going to bring 2 million into this system to defeat someone that has 8 million and we that has 1 million? It will not be easy. But because we all believe in talking, all we do is talking. When it comes to action, we do another thing. And that is what is actually against Africans, not even Nigeria alone. Nigeria is even better compared to
other African countries.
Except when you actually excuse that South Africa, Ghana is coming up. But talk about talk about Libya, talk about all these African countries that are being now ruled by military. I just taking actions, unnecessary actions that will in the next 50 years still be affecting their country.
Okay, so all of these coups that we just talked about, like we mentioned earlier, that 8 coups in the past 3 years, what do you think this might mean for Africa on the long run? It
actually means Africa is going to extinction if care is not taken, if precautions are not taken, if right steps are not being taken. Because ECOWAS will not have power again. ECOWAS will not have take again. And when ECOWAS are being removed from taking decision, then what else? The next thing is we now have autocratic rule. Every country in Africa will be ruling the way they want, and citizens will be marginalized more, because that will give West a lot of chances to dictate.
Okay.
How would they dictate? Number one, there has not been any part of this African country that we have so administration or so production of gun. And when you have military in power, what will happen? Every day, they want to buy more equipment. And why is West producing more equipment, more war equipment? Because they know they have market. And which market? They want to create problem in a place so that their market. Look at Ukraine. Look at what is happening in Ukraine. That will give you the exact picture of what is going to happen in Africa. Because Ukraine now, even the NATO that backed Ukraine, America that backed Ukraine, are now selling ammunition to Ukraine.
Yes.
Are you getting it? So all they want to do is to make sure that we have unrest. When we have unrest, then they can sell what they have and benefit their economy. Right. And our economy in Africa will not be stable until ECOWAS. So this ECOWAS that we're talking about take actions that will help us.
All right. Let's also look at it from this angle. Now, if you notice, most of these African countries that have had this coup, they're actually the countries that speak French.
Francophone countries. Yeah.
Yes. So should we begin to worry that there must be something going on around there? Look at what's happening in Niger right now, and look at the sanction ECOWAS actually placed. Now it's looking like the Niger called ECOWAS bluff, and Gabon has taken about the same toll. What do you think ECOWAS is going to do about this? Or do you see a situation where ECOWAS should, instead of do what they did in Niger, because it's actually affecting the citizens, taking off their electricity, closing off the borders, is making people suffer. Do you see a situation where instead of, going ahead, first of all, with their sanctions, calling for a peaceful sit-out and discussion?
They've actually done that. But they've done that. But the
leaders, with respect to Gabon now. To Gabon, because they're expected to take a decision.
Yeah, they will actually take the decision. But before that, let me answer the first question about the issue of France, Francophone countries. What many people don't know is France has marginalized all the countries under them. That's just a fact, whether we like it or not. Look at Niger, producing the only resources, the only stuff that actually benefits the whole country, that France cannot even do without uranium, right? Yes. But the country is not even having it. The country is not benefiting from it.
The same with Gabon. They say it's an oil-rich state and they're living in poverty.
And then they're living in poverty. Look at what is happening in Burkina Faso. This same thing. But the issue is, what people don't know is, even the coup that we are having now in Niger, Gabon, and all these Francophone countries are still being sponsored by same country that we say that they are actually agitating to deliver themselves from. That's just a fact. Now, as this stopped France, as this coup stopped France from taking uranium from Niger, as this coup, will this coup stop France from taking oil from Gabon? Will it stop them from taking grains from Burkina Faso? Will it stop them from taking, from benefiting from lightening their own country? Why the countries that are giving them the resources are still in darkness? Imagine, though we had agreements, Nigeria and Niger had agreements before we started supplying them electricity. Fine, but the fact is, if Niger had been a sovereign state, why wouldn't they be producing their electricity? If they have been a sovereign state, we will have a way of producing our own electricity. But the fact still remains that they are being controlled by a particular country. Their independence is not independent. And that is what is giving us issues. So all this, I believe that Francophone countries now should, especially the militaries, should know that no matter how much you are being used by other country, you still get to know that your country will always be your country. That's
all right. I'm going to have to ask you, because you made mention of something when you said that ECOWAS should take necessary actions. So let me take you back a little to when ECOWAS wanted to sanction, not just sanction, wanted to send military to Niger. Even when ECOWAS sent representatives to Niger, you see the actions of the Nigerian military. So what other measures do you think would be the best to resolve these issues? If at this point we are ruling out military intervention, what other things do you think?
There's no way we can rule military intervention. That's what people don't know.
We can't rule it out.
We can't rule it out. That is just it.
So it always has to end in a military intervention. It always has to end in a military intervention.
I hope you remember ECOMOG.
I do remember. But this dispensation that we have, Olamide, Sandra, if you rule out this military intervention, all this military coup will not end. There is nothing you will do for them. Go from now till next year that you want to sit with them. They will not. Unless otherwise, those that actually propagated that are foundation to this school decided that, okay, let's give them freedom. That's when you. But for now, look at, we tried. Nigerians tried. Sanusi Lamido, despite the fact that the coup leaders actually neglected ECOWAS intervention. Sanusi Lamido went there. He was there when the stuff happened, and he went to them. He spoke with them. He came back to inform our president, which happens to be the chairman of ECOWAS. And what was the next step? What happened? We have people that can talk to them. We have people that you can send to them that are blood of that country. Send these people instead of, that is another avenue to end it that you actually requested. Send those people to them. Leave ECOWAS. All these militaries will not listen to ECOWAS. That's just it. But ECOWAS can actually be diplomatic in sending those that they know that they will actually act into their voice to them. When they send them to them, then they can actually act as intermediary between ECOWAS and the coup leaders, and that will be the best way to resolve it if we are actually ruling out military intervention, which I believe we cannot even rule it out if this continue. The fact still remains that if our leaders in this democratic dispensation are not ready to continue, as in to change their ways, then we'll still having more, and there is nothing that will happen.
You know, some would say this coup of a thing is a sabotage on Africa, knowing that Africa is the next leading generation. What do you make of that?
I just want to believe that people that are making that assertion, they know what leading the world means. America has been trying. We have America on the list. We have Russia that had led before, still want to lead. We have China. And these three countries,
all of these countries you've just mentioned are always working and looking forward to partnering with countries in Africa.
They are just partnering because they are not even partnering. The partnership that we've signed so far in Africa with all these, except Russia now, that we've signed so far, even with United Kingdom, had been 70-30. The benefit for the West is 70, while for Africa is 30. And even the 30, we are not enjoying it. Why? Because of the greediness of our leaders. So all I believe is, though we are actually ruling, whether we like it or not, that's just it. We rule in almost every sphere of life in the world. Africans, Nigerians, talk about anywhere in the world, Africans are there. But no matter how much you try to rule, and they are even doing it to your face that you are an African, they cannot allow you to get to this particular stage. Yet Africans will still be like, at least I am okay. My families are okay. So, and that is why when this government came on board, they was like, you hear it in Yoruba, that my family, myself and my family can feed ourselves and we are okay.
Content people, right?
Yeah, that's just it.
All right, I think it's safe for us now to take a look at other headlines before we run out of time. Now, this one is on petrol subsidy removal, and more states have been rolling out palliatives. You know, I'm asking you this because I know that you, Dr. Olamide, you have never been in support of palliatives. So how do you see this finally turning out? Because for me, I would say this is not enough, but I want to hear your own opinion.
Thank God that this is happening now, and it will actually it has been justifying what we said in the past. Olamide actually called beckon on me because of my my article.
Yes, I read that.
And believe me,
unneeded palliative.
Unneeded palliative. Exactly what I said then is now happening. Imagine giving a bag of rice to 300 people, and by the time they come back,
maybe 5 grains per person.
By the time they now come back, you will see the amount of money that will have spent, that will have allegedly been spent on this humanitarian aid. And that was why we keep saying that we don't need this. It has never been a sane action for a sane person, a rational individual, to against a particular palliative by requesting for another one. Subsidy was a palliative, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
We against it. Now we are requesting for another one that is even worse. Because compared to now, look at 5 billion issue. Federal government is saying it has disbursed 5 billion to states, but now we now have states saying they have just received 2 billion. Even the 2 billion, look at Niger Delta region. None of the governors had actually said anything about this 2 billion. Let's assume that you've received 2 billion. And that was why ex-agitators are now saying they want to start protesting. What is happening in Oyo State? Oyo State gave its citizen bus. Fine, luxurious bus.
And
same with Adamawa. Now, the question I'm asking is, how many bus per local government? For our region alone, Ibarapa has 3 local governments and 3 SCDAs. We have 2 bus. Are you getting? Okay, Ogun has over 32 towns. They have 2 bus. What is stopping them from buying 33 luxurious, 66 luxurious, but 2 per local government? Would that actually take anything from 2 billion naira? No. But the fact still remains that we don't need, what we need is doing, as in revitalize our refinery. One, work with electricity. We can survive ourselves if all these things are there. Despite the fact that we will be buying fuel. If peradventure, what we have we have our electricity. You can actually walk wherever you are. You don't have any issue. We have our good roads that you don't need to travel up and down to go and buy something. And you don't need to be importing from America or from any other country. Do you know that import is actually one of our major problems that we have in this country?
That's the reason why our currency is devalued.
Now, it is devalued. Now, if government could actually use the money, they said they have actually they've saved up to 1.8 trillion naira in paper, which I know in paper. Now, the issue is if you can actually use that one to boost firms, industries in Nigeria, then we have people employed. If you have them, all these, there's no way. If you have a lot of products being produced by Nigerians, we will still have people that will patronize them. We have good markets. We have markets. So you see that by the time Sandra, you look at clothes. Almost everybody has been selling clothes and bags now, and and shoes, right? If Sandra is not selling, then you will be selling. So Sandra will not go abroad. We will not want to stress ourselves to order from abroad since
she has quality.
She has quality. Bags, yes. So if you are producing peanuts here, you are producing peanuts, all KAFTAN will not want to go out to use 200 naira from here to that very short distance to go and buy peanuts. It's not possible now. But because we don't have enough product and government is not supporting us, government is not doing the right thing. That is why people are requesting for this palliative that will see affect them tomorrow. Look at it. In Oyo State, I want to use Oyo State. Some people have been politicizing the issue of this palliative now, and this is happening in Ebonyi too.
You know, just yesterday, sir, on the papers, we saw that in Bayelsa, they still looted 2022 palliative that had gone bad because they actually didn't split it up.
And what we don't know is most of these governors, especially those that were there before and now recontested and won, you see that the palliative that they will be dishing out now are the saved one. Corrupt, as in, there's nothing you can tell me that will make me to believe that all the palliative to be shared now are 100%
from this particular situation.
That's just it. But the facts still remain that we don't need, we've said it, but since we've been given, and some of us we know.
Said since we've been given, like
have you received?
No, that's what I'm saying. As a Nigerian, since we've been given, and some of us will not even use our eyes to see it. Yes.
I bet the FCC minister will be the one in charge of.
Because my issue is, I didn't see at any point where they were making moves to ascertain the people that might actually need this palliative.
Especially because they were asking for state register, but we didn't even hear.
Yes, I write it in my article that we need palliative therapists. Who are the palliative therapists? Those that knows the concerned, what the concerned need, and how the concerned can actually get it.
But do you really think that? Now let's talk about this, especially because it has gotten to state level, from state level to local government level, and it will now be community by community. Look at us. Sandra always use one word, the Nigerian factor. Let's look at us now and consider the Nigerian factor alongside. Do you see a situation where people, in all honesty, would come out and say, okay, let us give this thing to those that truly need it? Now, I know that religious bodies do these things because I know that they will come, they will say, okay, we have this. If you don't have food at home, there's this. But you will still find some people that will still claim that, please, I want, even when they can afford to buy it.
To buy, yeah.
So in this situation, do you think that even when they now get to community by community level, some people do not still just want it to keep it in their homes when they can even afford to buy it?
If the government can keep some in their warehouses just because they can, I'm very sure that people would actually do that.
I'll actually go by our word. Nigerian factor will always be Nigerian factor. Forget about it. But the fact is, if it is enough, if it is enough, and I didn't mean our so-called youth that are clamoring for change had been helping us, we wouldn't have been here again. Don't forget that during Buhari's administration, upper chamber and lower chamber signed local government autonomy. But your youths, our so-called youth that are clamoring to be the leader now, that are actually chasing out the elderly ones, are the ones at the state level, but they refuse to sign it. So if we don't have local government autonomy, and if we don't have our local government being controlled by our local government, there is no way all these things will happen. If you have local government being controlled by local government, I remember when local government were still local government, I fought local government chairman face to face because I know very sure that yes, now because of our bursary, go and ask of my history in Ibarapa Central local government. I fought him face to face, even when it was my brother's turn. I fought him face to face like this because I know him. How will I get to Agodi in Ibadan? It's not possible now, and somebody that is not being given something cannot be. You cannot request from him. So that is just the fact. But if you know that you have autonomy over what is coming, allocation that is coming to you, then we can actually request. Come and give us this thing.
It was given to you because you know it
because we know him, and our councillors will be like, we don't have. We'll tell you. Oh, see statistics. If you say this one is not correct, then let's go to the federal government. They will not want to. They want to give us, even if it is not enough. But it will actually be over what will be expected from states. That's just a fact.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Olamide. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you for being our guest. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, that's what we'll draw the curtains on today's show. We'll see you again tomorrow. And until then, I am Olamide Alhassan. Stay well.
And I am Sandra Agu. See you later. Bye for now.